Students, in morning session we studied about MNC, that is multinational company. Now we are going to see the 9th chapter, that is government organization. After studying these chapters, we understand the departmental undertaking, public corporations, and the meaning of government companies, as well as advantages and disadvantages of departmental undertakings, public corporation and government companies. Okay, now we are going to see the meaning of government company. Before we are going to see the meaning of government company, first we see about the public corporation, that is the exploitation of the consumer and workers by private entrepreneur was very common during the period of 28th century. So the development of industries was left to the judgment of private enterprise. Therefore, government intervention became necessary to safeguard the interests of the public, even in developed countries like USA and UK. Therefore, the government can own and control industry and business in two ways. One is by way of starting a new unit and by taking over an existing industrial or commercial unit owned by a private person. So this is the two way the government undertake the control over the business. The next we are going to see about the meaning and futures of departmental undertakings. So departmental form is the oldest form of organizations. So under this departmental form of organization, a public enterprise is run as a separate full-fledged ministry or as a major subdivision of a department of the government. Here we say some examples also. The Indian Railways are managed by the Ministry of Railways, and Post and Telegraph Services are run as a department under Ministry of Communication, and Delhi Milk Scheme, All India Radio, Doordarshan are other examples of these departmental undertakings. So this is the meaning of departmental undertakings. So the futures of departmental undertaking is, it is a ultimate responsibilities. It has ultimate responsibilities, government financing and accounting as well as auditing, managed by civil servants, as well as sovereign immunity are the futures of the government undertaking. So the first future is ultimate responsibility. So ultimate responsibility, here they said that the management of a departmental undertaking lies with the ministry concerned. Okay, so therefore the ministry, that is who is responsible for this department, have ultimate responsibility towards that department. So the ministry in turn delegates its authority downwards to various other managerial levels in the departmental undertaking. That is, the minister has the full authority to delegate its powers to other various managerial levels of organization. Next we are going to see about the government financing. The departmental undertaking is financed by the annual budget appropriation by the parliament or the state legislation. The revenue of the undertakings are paid into the government treasury. Okay, so the finance also financed by the government, as well as the revenue also goes to the government. This is about government financing. Next future is accounting and auditing. Okay, here the departmental undertaking is subject to accounting as well as budgeting and auditing procedures, which are applicable to all government departments. Okay, so accounting, auditing is must for the departmental undertakings. Okay, then managerial civil servant, it is managed by a civil servants. That is, the departmental undertaking is managed by civil servants who are subject to same service condition as applicable to civil servant of the government. That is, here they said that only the civil servant have the power to manage the departmental undertakings. Then sovereign immunity is, departmental undertaking cannot be sued anybody. That is, without the consent of the government, no one can sue the departmental undertaking. That is, no one can file case against this departmental undertaking. Okay, these are the silent futures of the departmental undertaking. Next we are going to see about the advantages as well as disadvantages of departmental undertaking. The first foremost advantages is easy formation. That is, it is very easy to set up a departmental undertakings. There is no legal formalities is necessary. Only formalities, it is administration decision is taken by the government. There is no other formalities is needed in order to form a departmental undertakings. Then it is directly controlled by a parliament or state legislature. The departmental undertaking is directly responsible to the parliament or the state legislature through its overall head, that is the minister concerned. The minister is responsible to the parliament. Okay, so all the duties he is concerned. Okay, then security maintained. In some departments, security is very essential. For example, defense department and atomic power, so cannot be better managed by other than the government, because if it is run by private authority means it may some leakage of secrecy. So departmental undertaking can maintain secrecy in their working. So main example for this is defense and atomic power station. Then next one is we are going to see about the lesser burden on tax of public. Here the tax levied on departmental undertaking is very less. Okay, so therefore very lesser tax burden on the public. Then next one is about instrument of social change. The instrument of social change, the government can promote economic and social justice through departmental undertaking. A departmental undertaking can be used by the government as an instrument of social change. The next one is lesser risk or misuse of public money. As the departmental undertaking subject to budgeting, accounting and auditing procedure of the government, the risk of the misuse of public money is relatively less, okay, compared to any other undertaking. Then it is guided by rules and regulation of the ministry. So here they are guided by the rules and regulation of the ministry, framed with a focus on public welfare. Next one is disadvantages. The following are the main disadvantages or limitations of the departmental undertaking. First one is red tapeism. Next one is incidence of additional taxation, lack of competition, casual approach to work, government interference, lack of proportional management, and fear of criticism and financial dependency. So what is meant by red tapeism? There are too much of procedure which result in delay of the work. That is, in a departmental undertaking, if you want to take any decision, there are too much of procedures which delay the work. Okay, so commercial organization cannot afford delay in taking decision. Therefore, red tapeism is one of the main disadvantages of departmental undertaking. The next one is about instance of additional taxation. Sometimes the departmental undertakings incurred on loss. During that times it is made by the government. Therefore, this often necessitates additional taxation, that is the additional burden of which falls on the common man only, because the losses are incurred by the departmental enterprises will go as a burden on the common man. Okay, so this is the second disadvantages. Then lack of competitions, because it is owned by the controlled by the civil servants. Okay, so there is no competition here. Okay, so they are run the undertakings in their own fashion without considering the sovereignty of the consumer. The next we are going to see about the casual approach to work. Here, the officers of a departmental undertaking are subject to frequent transfer. Because of this, they are working as a casual manner. So, they are having casual approach to the work. So, as a result, the operational efficiency of the undertaking suffers a lot. Next, we are going to see about the government interference. So, the interference, here already I said about red tapeism and bureaucracy have become the limiting features of this organization. There is an excessive government interference and control in the departmental undertakings. So this is also one of the disadvantages of departmental undertakings. Next one is lack of professional management and fear of criticism. So a departmental undertaking is managed by the civil servants who do not possess professional management skills sometimes. Okay, so this is one of the criticism by the minister or the parliament. So because of fear of criticism by the ministry of parliament, these managers could not afford to be innovative. Then financial dependence. So it cannot have its own independent long range investment decision which may bring enormous prosperity to the undertakings. Then next we are going to see about the meaning and futures of public corporation. A public corporation is that a form of public enterprise which is created by an autonomous unit, that is by a special act. It is an autonomous unit created by a special act in the parliament or in the state legislature. Okay, so a public corporation is a unit which is created by a special act of the parliament or by the state legislature, and it is an autonomous unit. Okay, so what is meant by autonomous unit? It is a separate unit. No one can take any changes in it. Since public corporation is created by a statute, it is also known as statutory corporation. The statute defines the objectives, powers, functions of the public corporation. Like here we may say some examples: insurance, Life Insurance Corporation of India, the Indian Airlines, the Air India International, and Oil and Natural Gas Commissions all are come under the categories of public corporation. One table is given. It is related to departmental undertakings. Some examples with its logo also. Indian Railway, it is headquarters in New Delhi. Department of Food and Public Distributions, which is also in New Delhi, and Tamil Nadu Police Department, which is Chennai, which is located in Chennai. Okay, so then their logo also given in this table. Now we are going to see about the public corporation, that is features of public corporation. The first feature is related to special statute and separate legal entity, capital provided by the government, financial autonomy, management by board of directors, own staff, service motive, public accountability. So these are the features of the public corporation. We may see one by one now. Special statute. So the act defines its powers, objectives, functions and relations with the ministry and the parliament or the state legislature. Here they said that a public corporation is created by a special act of the parliament or a state legislature. So some special statute is given, that is some basic objectives and powers is defined already about regarding this public corporation. Then separate legal entity. Say a public corporation is a separate legal entity with perpetual succession and a common seal. So like company, it also has some perpetual succession and a common seal. It can own properly, can make contacts and file suits in its own name. Okay, like company, all those things are appear here also. Then its capital is provided by the government. The government is providing the capital to start a public corporation. So however, many public corporations have also begun to raise money from the capital market. Next we are going to see about the financial autonomy. It prepares its own budget and has authority to retain and utilize the earnings for its business. Okay. Then management by board of directors. The board of directors who is appointed by the government is managing the business. There is no government interference in the day-to-day working of the corporation. Okay. Then own staff. A public corporation has its own staffs and who is appointment, remuneration, service. All those things are decided by the public corporation itself. Okay, so it is run for the main objective is to run for the service motive. The motive of the main motive of the public corporation is service. Okay, so though it's expected to do the self-supporting and earn responsibility profits. Then profit accountability. So a public corporation has to submit its annual reports, its working, its account are audited by the Controller and the Auditor General of India. Okay. The next we are going to see about the disadvantages as well as advantages of public corporation. The first advantages is bold management due to operational autonomy. The next one is legislative control. Third one is qualified and contented staff. Tailor-made statute, not affected by political changes, lesser likelihood of exploitations, and a reasonable pricing policy. So these are the advantages of public corporation. The first one is bold management due to operational autonomy. So the management of the public corporation can take bold decision involving experiment in its lines of activities, taking advantages of business situations. The next one is legislative control. So the affairs of the public corporation are subject to scrutiny by committee of parliaments or state legislature. The press also keeps a watchful eye on the public corporation. Okay, then next one we are going to see about the qualified and contented staff. The qualified and contented staff, nothing but the industrial relation problems are not much severe. Staff has a motivation to work hard for the corporation. The next one is about tailor-made statute. The corporation can function in the best manner to achieve its objectives. So this is known as tailor-made statute, not affected by the political changes. The public corporation is not much affected by the political changes. It can maintain continuity of policy as well as operation. Then next one is reasonable pricing policy. Public corporation follow a reasonable pricing policy based on cost benefit analysis. Next we are going to see about the disadvantages. Next we are going to see about the disadvantages of public corporation. Okay, so the main disadvantages of public corporation is the first one is autonomy and flexibility only in theory. That is, here they said that autonomy and flexibility advantages of public corporation exist only in theory. In practice, there is a lot of interference in the working of the public corporations. So there is a lot of interference in the working of a public corporation by the minister, government officer and others, okay, other politicians. The next we are going to see about the misuse of monopolistic power. So public corporation often enjoy monopoly in their field of operation. As such, on the one hand, they are indifferent to consumer needs and problems, whereas on the other hand, often do not hesitate to exploit consumer. Okay. Then next we are going to see about the third one, rigid constitution. That is very rigid. The constitution of a public corporation is very rigid. It cannot be changed. Okay, very rigid means we cannot change. We cannot. It is not flexible. Okay, so without amending the statute of its formation, we cannot change the rules of the public corporation. Low managerial efficiency. Sometimes the civil servants have not possesses the management knowledge and skill, or appointed by the government. In such a case, the managerial skill is low. Okay. Then problem of passing a special act. This problem of passing a special act, meaning here they said that a public corporation cannot be formed without the passing a special act, which is a time consuming and as well as difficult process. Next we are going to see about the meaning and futures of government company. A government company is nothing but a company in which not less than 51% of the capital is held by the central government, state government, or by both. Okay, so at least 51% of the share capitals is held by the central government or state government or by both. This is according to the section 245 of the Companies Act 2030. Okay, so here they is mentioned that 51%, it is asked in 1 marks also. If it holds 51% is percentage of share capital is held by the government, it may be a state government or central government or by both, then it is a government company. So registration under the Companies Act, under the first features of the government company is registration under the Companies Act. It is registered under the Companies Act 1956 and subject to the provision of this act like any other company. Then, however, the central government may direct any provisions of the Companies Act and not apply to the government company. Sometimes it is applied. Then executive decisions of government. A government company is created by the executive decision of the government without seeking the approval of the parliament or state legislature. That is, here there is no approval is registered from the parliament or from the state legislature. Then the separate legal entity. Here also it is a government company. It is has some separate legal entity as well as common seal. The majority of the capital provided by the government. Majority means here it is more than 51% or at least 51%. Then majority of government directors. So being in possessions of a majority of a share capital, the government has authority to appoint the majority of directors or the board of directors of a government company. So a government company has its own staff except government officials who are sent to it as deputation, and its employees are not powered by the civil service rulers, and it is free from procedural controls. The government company is free from budgetary, accounting and audit control applicable to government undertakings. Okay, it is free from those auditing all those things. Okay, so it is free from auditing and all. Okay, next we are going to see about the accountability of the parliament of the state legislature. The annual report of the government company is placed before the parliament or state legislature. The main advantages of this government company is it is easy to form. There is no act. Government company is easily formed under the Companies Act. Okay, so internal autonomy and private participation, easy to alter. Okay, it is not rigid. Okay, discipline, professional management, public accountability are some of the advantages of government company. Some disadvantages also there. One is board of directors packed with yes man and autonomy of only in name, a fraud on company acts and constitution, fear of exposure are some of the disadvantages of government company. List of some government companies and their logos are given here. Coal India Limited, Kolkata. It is situated in Kolkata. Coal India Limited, which is situated in Kolkata. Steel Authority of India, which is in New Delhi. Here the company logo also mentioned here. Tamil Nadu State Transport Corporation of India, in a corporation company limited, Chennai. Then Gas Authority of India Limited, it is New Delhi. Okay, so these are the some companies, important companies. Here we must know about the government company, public corporation as well as departmental undertakings in these chapters. Okay, so we finished nearly 9 chapters for your September monthly exams. Your portion is 2nd, 3rd and 4th chapter only. Okay, so prepare well these chapters as well as do the assignment regularly, submit on time in order to score marks in your monthly as well as in your public. Thank you, students.